Hi, everybody. My name is Mandy Ray of Ecstatic Astrology, also known as Agent 51 for the Cosmic Intelligence Agency, the CIA. And I'm here to present to you messages from Mercury. That's right. I made my first slide move. I'm very proud of myself. So what we're going to talk about is Mercury retrograde in Aquarius back into Capricorn. And as you can see here, this is a graphic of what's going on with the Mercury retrograde. Here, this purple line, that represents its forward movement through Capricorn. And then here we see this is the pre-shadow. This is when Mercury makes it to 24 degrees of Capricorn, meaning it will eventually retrace these steps. So it moves along here. The pre-shadow is December 29th through January 14th. And then we get to January 14th, which is when this video should be coming out and close to when I'm recording it. 10 degrees, 20 minutes of Aquarius. It turns retrograde. It looks like it's moving back in the sky backwards. It doesn't actually move backwards, but it looks like it. So it's called apparent motion. And then between January 14th and February 3rd, it is moving retrograde. February 3rd, it stations direct. When you hear Mercury stationing, in case you don't know, that means pausing and turning around. At 24 degrees, 22 minutes of Capricorn, see, it has made it right back to where it went into shadow. This is the steps it's retraced. And then it moves forward again through its post-shadow, meaning it's already visited this part of Capricorn and Aquarius. And February 24th, it is out of shadow. We got a green light, all systems go. And so here's the dates. If you want to take a screenshot, we've got January 14th, the retrograde. 25th is the ingress back into Capricorn. February 3rd, stations direct at 24 degrees, ingress Aquarius February 14th, forward. And then it's finally out of its shadow February 24th. So a little more than a month. We've got this going. Now, this is a picture of Mercury's station. Go ahead and pull my video back up here. The station means pausing, standing still, turning around, and that's, you can see where this red arrow is pointing at 10 degrees, 20 minutes of Aquarius. Now, it is at its station, which it seems to be stronger when it's just sort of standing still, commanding attention in Aquarius. Aquarius is goals, groups of people that we belong to, large groups of people. And it is in a square to Uranus and Taurus, which is changing values, innovating the things we love, the things that make us comfortable. And this is a tense aspect. Now, when it comes to Uranus, tense can be upheaval. I think of an earthquake, Uranus in a fixed earth sign, Taurus. But with Mercury in a fixed air sign, we've got air and earth, maybe more like a tornado, who knows, right? So do you hear my cat in the background? That is Mercury square Uranus, just FYI. I don't know if you can, but she's meowing loudly. So the interesting thing about this Mercury square to Uranus is that it's not exact, not by minute. 10 degrees, 20 minutes, 10 degrees, 49 minutes. So almost, we call this a degree-based square, but not exactly. And I feel like there's some symbolism there. Like, you know, Uranus is yelling from across the way, we've got to change things. I think of the supply chain crisis. I think of Aquarius, large groups of people, how we are in groups together. And I don't have an arrow pointing to it, but I'd like to point out that it stops very close to Saturn. So depending on the orb you use, you could call this a conjunction, but it never makes it to Saturn. And I think also that is symbolically important. It's like it sees the wall and it's like, that's a lot of work. Oh my gosh. And Uranus is like, yeah, but we got to change things. So Mercury stops and goes, okay, I need to think about this. Let me go revisit some things. So let's take a look at what it revisits. Why not? So this shows January 18th. This is the first real aspect that Mercury in Aquarius makes when it's retrograde. Now, Mercury is communication. It is the way we think. So that is the, let's just say the verb thinking, right? That's what we're doing. And maybe listening, active communication, active mind processes. In fact, Mercury in traditional astrology represented commerce. So there's a lot of symbolism here, especially when it comes to Uranus and Taurus and that initial square with money and values as well. Now, we get to January 18th, and it makes an exact sextile to Chiron, the wounded healer. Chiron's also a teacher. Chiron's a centaur. It is an asteroid. Some people call it a minor planet, whatever you want to call it. I love that it looks like a key because it is the key to our healing, right? So when we're talking about a sextile, we're talking about opportunity, this blue line here. And so what do we have the opportunity to do? So Aquarius is rethinking its goals. Mercury is like, okay, let me rethink my goals, how to innovate the structures around me, how to be in groups of people, what kind of groups of people I want to be involved in, how do I relate to society at large? And Chiron in Aries is like, well, whatever you do, accept yourself. So we're rethinking our future in terms of self-love, acceptance, authenticity, autonomy, very important topic these days. It should be noted, Mercury has already sextiled Chiron once when it was coming through in its forward movement through the first degrees of Aquarius. So that was January 9th that it first sextiled Chiron. We might have gotten the first ping of this. Maybe it's sensitive, you know. And then January 18th, the day I have pulled up here, is its retrograde sextile, a rethinking about it. And then February 23rd, we're going to come again when it's moving forward and sextile Chiron again. So this is important. 3 passes Chiron. 3 passes of learning to accept ourselves, self-love, authenticity, autonomy. Now, we also have to note that the day after this, Mercury is combust, meaning it gets very close to the sun. Gosh, I believe it's within 17 minutes of the sun is considered combust, which weakens Mercury's influence a little bit, according to traditional astrology. I'd like to hear reports. Let me know. January 23rd is a Mercury cazimi. Stop my video again. A cazimi is in the heart of the sun. That's what it means. Mercury is coming to the sun and they're going to conjoin together at 3 degrees of 22 minutes and 22 minutes of Aquarius. It is cazimi in the heart of the sun for 5 hours and 15 minutes. That's important because a cazimi is within 17 minutes, not degrees, minutes this time, a very small subsection of the zodiac of the sun. It's only about 5 hours long. I'm broadcasting from Central US time. So by the way, for all of this, please adjust for your local time zone. But it's around 1:20 a.m. here till like 7:30, 7:40 a.m. Central US time. And so adjust that no matter where you are, but it's still a period of about 5 hours. And this can be an epiphany moment. I mean, it's an audience with the king. We get this message. What is the future? What am I looking for? How do I build this thing? What work needs to be done? Don't forget, Mercury turned around with Saturn. So then January 25th, Mercury enters Capricorn retrograde. And now we're less thinking about goals and groups of people. We've already thought about that a little bit. We're like, you know what? If I want to go deeper, I have to check out the rules, the structures, the foundations. What is authority? What is success? What is mastery? And by January 25th, Mercury entering Capricorn means Mercury and Venus will be retrograde in the same sign for 3 days, almost 4, like 3.5 days. So we have 2 very personal planets, Mercury and Venus, very close to the sun, both retrograde in the same sign, Capricorn, which is authority, mastery, success, structure, all of that good stuff. What might that mean? Venus is what we love. Venus is a benefic, gives gifts, even retrograde. So that brings us to January 28th. What's going on January 28th? Mercury conjoins Pluto. That's what. Pluto is a planet. It's a more modern planet. I think it's a planet. Some people have demoted it, whatever. It is power. It is transformation. It is transmutation, composting. Pluto is the god of the underworld in mythology. So we go internal with Pluto. And it's a collective planet. In fact, you've probably heard America's in its Pluto return at some point if you listen to astrology. So this date might matter for America, but how does it matter for you? Well, we are revisiting how to claim personal authority, empowerment, which means we probably have to end, Pluto can be ending situations in which we are disempowered. This is also a set of 3. So we just went over Chiron, the wounded healer, being a set of 3 sextiles. This is a set of 3 conjunctions, which is additive. They both kind of work together. Mercury retrogrades, Pluto, I got to rethink this. And Pluto's like, whoa, you absolutely need to be done with them if they are making you feel disempowered. So it is possibly intense. Pluto can bring some intense moments. Pluto can bring powerful moments of transformation. So I would just mark this date down. The set of 3 is December 30th. It's already done it once. Keep in mind, Venus is also interacting with Pluto in its retrograde cycle. So this is a huge message. What has authority over you? December 30th, January 28th as retrograde planet, and February 11th in its direct motion. We could have intense moments around this time. Keep in mind the nodes have moved as well by this time, and the South Node is in Scorpio, fairly closely sextile to Pluto and Mercury at this time, and the North Node in trine to it. So this also has a kind of a fate karmic spin to it. And this date in particular could be heavy on the fate and destiny scale. Only a few hours later, overnight here, Central US time, Venus goes direct. So it is the exclamation point, like not only my values, what I love, what is fair, what I, want to have around me. That's Venus interacting with this transformational, empowering planet. But so is our mind. So it's like our heart and our minds coming together and saying, we cannot allow this to stand any longer. Also, we don't fear these transits. We can't fear these transits. These transits are meant to be powerful. It could be in many ways that comes knocking at your door. I always say it's probably a powerful experience to win the lottery, right? Okay, so you see how this transformation doesn't always have to inspire fear. Pluto, being the god of the underworld, means exploring your shadow. That can be many different things and manifest in many different ways. All right, so here's some dates for you in between some things. February 3rd, Mercury direct in Capricorn, 24 degrees, 22 minutes. That is not long after Mercury conjoins Pluto, and then Venus direct on January 29th. And then February 3rd, Mercury is direct. What does that mean? It means on February 3rd, everything is direct. Aren't we excited? No planets retrograde. Amazing. And let me just add in a little tidbit that the sun also passes Saturn February 4th. And I've been telling people this weekend really feels like the new year. Okay, February 3rd, 4th, we're direct. February 11th, Mercury conjoins Pluto for the 3rd time. December 30th was the first, January 28th, which we just talked about, retrograde, and now February 11th. That's the last and final. We are done with it. If there is anything that is leaving your life, that date is a very important date for that process. If there is a place you are transforming yourself, empowering yourself, realizing things are out of balance, this is the date. It's the final punctuation, at least on the Mercury cycle. We still have a Venus conjoining Pluto aspect that will happen. February 14th, Mercury enters Aquarius direct. Happy Valentine's Day for those who know what that is and celebrate it. Mercury entering Aquarius direct is just a revisitation, especially of that Cazimi degree soon after. And I feel like usually when it passes the Cazimi degree is when we start to come out of the reviewing, rethinking. It definitely doesn't feel super retrograde by then, but it absolutely is an important spot, the Cazimi degree. So February 14th, Mercury enters Aquarius, and then it's soon after, like in that same next day or two, Mercury passes the Cazimi degree, and it really feels a lot clearer. Now, February 23rd, Mercury in Aquarius sextiles Chiron in Aries. The third time, this is the self-love, acceptance, autonomy, really trying to build that into our future, being here just as we are. All right. Brings us to February 24th, and Mercury is out of its shadow. So Mercury out of shadow is really when it is widely regarded as the effects dissipating from Mercury retrograde. So we're no longer revisiting. We've already been here. Finally, we get to it at 10 degrees of 20 minutes. And in the central US, that's very, very early on the 24th. But late in the day on the 24th, Mercury squares Uranus exactly. Now, if you'll recall, at the very beginning of the Mercury retrograde, Mercury squared Uranus. But at this point, it exactly squares Uranus. It is degree and minute, an exact square. February 24th at 11 degrees, 25 minutes. It's the nighttime in central US, so check your local time zone. This is very action oriented. A square is inherently tense, so we didn't even get the full on exact square before. So this is really like, the rubber band's been pulled back. So this square is like an aha moment, change my circumstances moment, really shift something. So if you're wanting to shift something, this is the time. It's the epiphany, the bird's eye view that helps see where change is necessary. We are revisiting our goals, revisiting the groups we belong to based on changing values, necessary innovation. So actually, I have revisiting. At this point, we're not revisiting. This is new. I should just like strike that from the record, because that's not what's going on. We are now visiting, ignore revisiting. This is now charting new territory on our goals, the groups we have around us, so on and so forth. All right, so that brings us to, let me clear off this drawing that I just did there. Okay, that brings us to March 2nd. What is March 2nd? It is Mercury conjunct Saturn. If you'll recall, we also did not exactly hit Saturn when Mercury turned retrograde on January 14th. Well, today we do. We already got the rebellious change, revolution, liberation, electricity of Uranus. We already have that. So it's interesting that first we have the rebellious kind of urge, the liberating kind of urge, and then we have to encounter the wall. What's better? I don't know. I think I'd rather be excited by my desire to change when I meet a wall. So I'm glad this is the way it is. I don't want to meet the wall not even knowing about the desire for change on the other side. So right now we meet Uranus in a square first and get the initiatory need to change something. And then we encounter Saturn March 2nd at 18 degrees, 59 minutes of Aquarius. Once it passes that, boy, are things going to just feel like a jumping off point. And wouldn't you know it, it's also the new moon in Pisces conjunct Jupiter that day. So this seems like a very nice beginning to a new phase. I don't have the exact new moon pulled up because I was trying to get the exact Mercury Saturn conjunction, but this is really auspicious in regards to maybe starting something with work, a project, especially bringing those dreams of Pisces into the reality where Saturn and Mercury are. Okay, so that brings me to March 6th. Mercury in Aquarius is at the very end of Aquarius and it's squaring the nodes. This can be tense as well. The nodes are the eclipse points, but because the eclipses haven't happened yet, this is just our first initial ping, you know, like we've got this ping from Mercury, especially in a tense square. And so it's asking us to keep an open mind. We don't want to get stuck in the Scorpio South Node with the things that we are maybe obsessed with, like really hold on to emotionally. It's fixed water. Even our fears, right? What we want to do is go to that Mercury in Aquarius, open our mind, get out of the box so that we can head toward those new values, those a new sense of self-worth and how we treat the earth. I mean, all kinds of different things with Taurus involved. So then March 9th, Mercury leaves Aquarius, enters Pisces, and we are done with Aquarius. And that is the end of Mercury in Aquarius. So we're going from the Mercury retrograde, January 14th, all the way back into Capricorn, and then back into Aquarius to the end, March 9th. I'll be back with another message from Mercury, this time about Pisces, and likely a day or two before, as always. And my name is Mandy Ray again, Agent 51 for the CIA, signing off.